get really good at one thing. Number 2, systemize, automate, delegate. Number 3, find adjacent opportunities. And kind of a bonus tip for you, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Money Mondays. My name is Brandon Burns. I will be your host, and today we're going to go through kind of an interesting topic, at least for me. We're going to talk about the step-by-step process of how you can build a portfolio of companies that either you have ownership interest in or that you are involved in some way or form that is adding revenue to your pockets. And it's kind of funny for me because I didn't realize that that's what I was doing until I had kind of already done it. And I got a good friend of mine who likes to say that life can only be understood in reverse, but it has to be lived forward. And that was 100% my experience with this topic. I was just going through my career doing the best that I could. Everything your hands find to do with all your might. That's the timeless principle for success. I was just trying to do that, and I was doing it over and over again, right? I almost take the addict approach. I talked about this in one of the previous videos of how sometimes it's too daunting to say, I'm going to do this for 5 years or for 1 year or even for a month. If you got a bad habit, you got to say, I'm not going to drink for the next 30 minutes. And sometimes if you're trying to establish something good, i.e. a portfolio like this, then you might have to say, I'm going to take this 30 minutes at a time, do my best for the next 30 minutes, and then see what happens after that. That was the approach that I took, and with a little bit of grace and a little bit of luck, it got me here. But now that I have that higher level of consciousness, now that I've been through that process, it allows me to look back and reverse engineer the process, break it down into a step-by-step formula that I can share with you that will hopefully shortcut your curve, your growth curve to success in building a portfolio like this. So without further ado, I want to get started with these 3 steps. Step number 1, as cliche as it sounds, get really good at one thing. 1, you don't need to be good at 2 or 7 or 10. Now, I will disagree with popular wisdom for a minute here. I don't think that you should niche down so heavily that you only know how to do one thing really well. In entrepreneurship, and by the way, if you are a business owner, if you want to get into private equity, if you want to be an entrepreneur, even if you just want to be an influencer or a personal brand, but you want to be involved in different things, you're not going to want to niche down so specifically that you only have one real core skill set. That's not the truth. That's nonsense advice. Now, you want to have a specialty, but you want to have a fundamental understanding of all the other stuff, right? And I always tell people entrepreneurship is not one skill. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go learn to be an entrepreneur. No, you got to go learn how to sell. You got to go learn how to market. You got to go learn how to build funnels. You got to go learn how to do advertising. You got to go learn how to do product development. You got to learn how to do ops. You got to learn how to do management. You got to learn how to do a million different things if you want to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, if you want to be a consultant, anybody who works in multiple types of businesses or even one business, but you want to have a good understanding of everything that's going on, you need that base level foundation to know what's happening in every department and every vertical of that kind of business. Now, this is not just for entrepreneurs, but if you are an entrepreneur, especially if you're going to be taking on all the risk, if you're going to be the one leading the charge, you've got to know enough, at least so you know, okay, this person I'm hiring who's going to take this and run with it, and say the marketing department, do I think that they're better than me? Like, do I have at least a high enough level of understanding to know that they're going to do a good job? Do I have a high enough level of understanding to have gotten some results so I know what kind of works, what kind of doesn't in my business, in my industry, that I can help that person understand? Do I have the qualifications to even know if they're doing a good job or not? These are all very important things. So I'm not saying that you should niche down on your skill set so much that you can only do one thing, but I am saying specialize in one thing and get incredibly good at one thing. So I'll give you an example. I'm a coach. I can coach better than 99% of people in the world. I know that's a big claim, but it's the truth. I know that because I started coaching gymnastics when I was 14 years old. Then I started personal training when I was 18 years old. Then I started doing business coaching after that, life coaching after that. So if there's a way to take a result, break it down into a process and teach it to somebody and help them through that process, I can probably figure it out because I've done it in so many different areas. If you need supplemental materials to go with that process, if you need a course created from that process, I really understand how to put these things together. That's what I do, is I coach people and I help lead people from A to B. Even as a speaker now, I just think of that as coaching from stage. I'm just helping you get a result. I'm leading you through a process step by step from A to B, from where you currently are to the outcome that you want. That's all coaching is. Even when I do consulting, it's the same thing. I'm just coaching an entrepreneur or a business owner or a company, right? A set of individuals. So coaching is the one thing that I got really good at. And then from there, it opened the doors to the different options. And the challenge is, if you don't get really good at one thing, it's incredibly hard to make a name for yourself. So I'll give you an example. When I first started working with Eric Thomas, ET, #1 motivational speaker in the world, I started as an intern. One of the first tasks that they had me do was create some worksheets for a coaching program that they were coming out with. I had been developing that skill set of coaching since I was 14 years old. I know how to take this big thing that they're trying to sell these people, break it down into a systematic process, articulate that, and lead somebody through it. So I was able to do those worksheets very quickly, very efficiently, and I was able to do it at an incredibly high level. And so for an intern, they were looking at me like, oh, who is this kid? He's a beast, right? That was what opened the door for every subsequent opportunity. I'm telling you, this is how it works. You get one opportunity, and ET always likes to say, every opportunity is another opportunity for another opportunity, right? You get one opportunity, you get one little break, and then you kill it, and then that turns into 2 or 3 more. And then those turn into 2 or 3 more each. And by the end of it, you've got this exponential growth path where you've got more opportunities than you have time, and now you can start to be selective with how do you actually want to spend your time. That's a different topic for another video. But my point here is, you can only do that if you can blow people away with the results that you can get from one thing, all right? So that's principle number 1, get really good at one thing and establish yourself as an authority based on your results. Number 2, systemize, automate, delegate. SAD. That's the acronym to remember. SAD. Systemize, automate, delegate. You're not going to be sad. You're going to be happy because you're actually going to be removing yourself from the day-to-day of a lot of this stuff. But that's the acronym that I could come up with. All right? Systemize, automate, and delegate. What do I mean by systemize? Once you get really good at that one thing and you establish yourself either as an intrapreneur within somebody else's company, that's what I did with ET, or as an entrepreneur, you get really good with doing your own thing with your own business. What you need to do is systemize that out so that you can hand somebody a piece of paper and it says step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and so on and so forth, and they would be able to go through that process without you having to do it. Now, they might not have the natural gifts that you have, they might not have the talent or the experience that you have, so maybe they won't do it as well as you would do it, but they'll be able to get it done, right? Incredibly important. The reason that McDonald's is so successful, and it is a billions and billions of dollars company, is because anybody can work there. You can go in there with no experience, no training, no expertise, nothing. You open up the handbook, the employee handbook, you read through it. If you're intentional and you actually study the thing and you learn, then you'll be able to go accomplish the job in a manner that is within the tolerable limits of how they want things done at their establishment. Now, I'm not saying that McDonald's is a fine dining establishment and they have the highest standards in the world, but what I am saying is that they have mastered the ability to build a machine, not relying on phenomenal talent. If your business relies on phenomenal talent, it's not a business. It's a collection of people who's doing something really cool, but those parts of the machine are not interchangeable. You're gonna get yourself into a really challenging position. All right, so the first thing you need to do is start building out some SOPs so you can systemize the process that you've already gotten really good at. And the reason you have to get good at it first, and you can't do this from a YouTube video or from Google or ChatGPT, is because there's certain nuance that only comes with learned experience, earned wisdom, right? You're not going to be able to do a true SOP and really make something bulletproof until you've done it yourself, right? Number 2, automate. I don't care if you use Zapier, I don't care if you hire a professional to do it. I think they call it zero touch provisioning in the professional IT world. I don't know. I'm not a tech guy. I use Zapier for everything. But if you can learn to automate certain tasks, if you can automate the fulfillment, if you have a digital product, if you have an online product, an information product, how can you automate the fulfillment of that? Right? Even in my personal training, I have automated stuff that I do, right? I'll have automated text messages sent out and they look like they're for me, right? Hey, how's things going today? Now, when you respond, I get the response and I'll actually have a conversation with you, but the first outreach is totally automated. I don't have to do anything, right? Learn to automate as much of that systemized process as you possibly can. And then the third sub bullet of item number 2 here is delegate. Anything that you can't automate, learn to delegate. And what you want to do is funnel the top 0.1% of tasks and decisions that nobody else can do, a robot or a machine can't do it, and nobody that you hire can do it. Those decisions have to be made from the point or from the viewpoint, the vantage point, the perspective of somebody who has your expertise, your talents, your gifts, your intuition, right? You want to funnel all the most challenging stuff that only you can handle up to you. Get rid of the rest through systemization or automation, all right? Now, we're removing you from the day-to-day here. This is how this works. It takes time. It's slow, right? It is a slow process. You got to entrench yourself into a company. Again, either intrapreneur or entrepreneur. You get something that works, you entrench yourself in that process, you systemize the whole thing out, you automate as much as you can, you delegate what you can. And from there, now you can look for adjacent opportunities, because what was taking you 40, 50, 60 hours a week when you were building all of this, you've built it into such a machine that it can run without you being there, at least all the time. You're only doing 1 to 5% of the most challenging work. So now maybe it's taking you 5 to 10 hours a week. Well, now I have time to go be creative and look for other opportunities. Step 3 is look for adjacent opportunities, right? I told you, even with ET, as an intrapreneur within his company, I started with the coaching company. I started entrenching myself in their process, in their culture, right? And then I started building things around that. Their whole process was manual before I came in there and automated a lot of things. It was manual before I went in there and said, you know what? I think there's an easier way to do some of this that would increase our efficiency. Right? I started acting as if it was my company. I said, hey, I think we can increase revenue if we do this. I think we can increase retention, decrease churn if we do this. And then people start to say people respect that. Now I'm an authority because I'm bringing something to the table, right? And then I'm building off of what I brought to the table. All right, I don't want to backtrack. Last but not least, find adjacent opportunities. I started with the coaching company, right? Then I went to booking. My next opportunity was being ET's booking agent. Now let's think about that. Relatively similar process. Coaching and speaking go hand in hand. If you want coaching clients, go speak. If you're in the industry, you know that, right? So that was an adjacent opportunity. From there, I went into work with him on the book, UOU, New York Times bestselling book. I was one of the co-leads on that project. So now I'm saying, okay, in the personal development industry, now I've done speaker booking, I've done coaching, and now I've helped launch a book. I wonder if that's a skill set that I could sell. Well, let me remove that and start my own company that helps people launch and sell and market books. Boom, there's another company. I've already learned everything. I've got it systemized, automated. So now I'm only doing 5% of the most challenging work over here, 5% of the most challenging work on the booking agency side, 5% of the most challenging work on the coaching side, right? I'm still only working 15, 20 hours a week from that because everything that I don't have to personally touch is automated or delegated. From there, I went into broaden the scale, right? Hormozi talks about this. Once you get good at one thing, you can start to go broader market. So from the books, now I went to full service digital marketing. Again, something I'd gotten experience with. I'd gotten really, really good at one thing, expanded, and you just keep on going, right? And then I ended up going to do my own coaching and everything. But the point of that is, number 1, get really good at one thing. Number 2, systemize, automate, delegate. SAD. That is the process. Number 3, find adjacent opportunities. And kind of a bonus tip for you, partner strategically. Remember what we said earlier. You want to handle the 1 to 5% of things that nobody else can do. So in my digital marketing agency, KTB Digital Solutions, right? We have it set up where there's 3 of us, 3 business partners. I have a very particular skill set. I tend to handle a lot of the business development strategy, a lot of the customer journey. Somebody else handles the paid advertisement management. They handle the automations, and somebody else handles the VSLs, the video editing, the social media management, and all the creative side, right? So between the 3 of us, we can build your funnel, we can advertise your funnel, we can build your products for you. You just show up and say, here's what I want to do, right? We each have 3 different but complementary skill sets. So we each might only work a certain number of hours, but we're doing the things that only we can do. Everything else is either systemized, automated, delegated to a virtual assistant team, etc., or one of the other guys is handling it, because that's their area of genius, their area of expertise. But eventually, if you just keep on doing this, you partner strategically and you continue that process, because the SAD process is something that you continue doing over time. You continue to iterate, you continue to get better at it. And eventually, you work your way out of all of these businesses so that you're working on them, not in them, right? And then you're only doing the things that you absolutely must be there to do. And then you free yourself up with time to go explore other opportunities. Before you know it, you've got 5 companies, 10 companies, 20, 30, 40, and you just keep going, all right? Now, it does take time. This is not a 6-month process. This took me 3-4 years, right? And I'm going to continue to do it. So by the time I have 20 companies, it'll probably take me another 3-4 years. But what I'm telling you is the opportunities will come if you follow the process. I hope that this video was helpful for you. If it was, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to share this with somebody else. That's the number one thing that I'm passionate about, is getting these messages out to the masses so that it can help more people make more progress and fulfill their potential in every area of life. Listen, if you want to work with me, go to everydaymeanseveryday.com. Shameless plug. But regardless of that, be sure to share this with somebody who's going to get value from it. Drop your main takeaways in the comment section below, and I will see you on the next episode of Money Mondays. Peace.